Well, up next on Left, Right and Centre, in an election year in Karnataka, it's the politics of Tipu Sultan versus the right-wing ideologue Veer Savarkar, which appear to be key to the BJP's political agenda. This, along with communal remarks and references to love jihad, appear to be setting this agenda, despite the statements, for example, by the RSS chief, who said recently that no one should bear malice to people of other faiths. On the show, Karnataka's Tipu versus Savarkar election, the Prime Minister says Sabka Saath, while local BJP leaders raise communal issues. Joining us now, Pramila Nesargi of the BJP, Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress, Shruti Kapila, the history professor, and C.B. Sharma, the professor of education. Thank you all very much for being with us. Pramila Nesargi, the BJP has blamed the opposition, the Congress, for allowing Tipu Jayanti celebrations in the state. But the BJP used to celebrate this just a few years back. What's changed?
We are not celebrating. Tipu Jayanti was never celebrated by us. It's Savarkar, and there cannot be any comparison between Savarkar and Tipu Sultan.
No, ma'am, I got to fact check
Tipu Sultan is an alien.
I got to fact check you, Pramila ji. I don't want to interrupt you. I'll let you come back. But in 2000, Tipu Jayanti existed before 2015. It was not just a state-sponsored celebration. There are pictures of Jagdish Shettar, Yediyurappa, R. Ashok and other BJP leaders celebrating Tipu Jayanti, even wearing Tipu-style turbans. I'm asking you, what's changed?
I'm just telling you, if the nature has to change every day. It can't be stable. It can't be remain as it is. It has to change. As from the circumstances, year is changing. We are not in 2015 now. We are in 2023. It is changing. What is the present situation? Depending upon that, we always go ahead.
Okay.
We can't go on depending upon what happened in the past. And see, as on today, what is the thing? Can you compare Tipu Sultan with Savarkar? After all, Savarkar is an Indian, and Tipu Sultan is never an Indian. He is an alien.
Tipu Sultan is not an
Indian.
Indian.
He is a traitor who has come from aggressor.
No, I know Aishwarya wants to respond, but I think I'll go to Shruti Kapila first. Shruti Kapila, was Tipu Sultan not an Indian?
Well, I think this is what the question is. I think that you can answer this debate either historically or politically.
Historically, I mean.
Yeah, no, I'll just say, historically, of course, politically, the spokespersons are there. Historically, Tipu and empires prior to the British were multi-ethnic, multi-religious, whether it's China, whether it's the Ottomans, whether it is the Mughals, right? This idea of majority, minority, single religious states, this is a 19th, 20th century phenomenon, something actually the British, institute in India. This is the problem. This numbering of majority-minority comes from the British census. Having said that, I would actually argue and I would request the BJP spokesperson and every Indian to start reading a little bit about Tipu, because he was actually the single most anti-British figure in the 18th century. Because that's why Tipu's tiger is the prime object in the V&A, in the big Imperial Museum here, and he single-handedly disallowed the British to enter the southern states. And it was a global warfare. It was not national, because he had help from the French. Okay. Having said that, I also want to say to the BJP spokesperson, this idea of alien and insiders actually belongs to Savarkar. She's quite right that this way of thinking comes from Savarkar, who actually decides that in India, what we have is not external enemies. In fact, his book spent very little time on the British, unlike, say, Nehru, or even forget Nehru. Entire focus is on internal enemies. Buddhists, Muslims.
Okay, Shruti, so just half a second. I want to go across to Professor Sharma.
Now, because you're making internal enemies from a discourse which was actually multi-ethnic. And I'm not saying it was peaceful, but that was the nature of pre-19th, 20th century.
All right. Professor Sharma, is this not a fact that Tipu Sultan was anti-British to the core? He fought for an Indian identity. He resisted them completely. Therefore, is it not disingenuous for the BJP to abandon him at this stage?
Vishnu, I will say that this is an issue of curriculum, and curriculum has been revised many times depending upon the new facts and on the basis of aspiration of people. Look at your curriculum, right?
Ma'am, there is aspiration of people and then there is
Wait a
fact.
minute.
What new fact has emerged?
Wait a minute. I'm just going to give you the example.
Okay.
Read about Birsa Munda in the NCERT textbook written in the 60s and the facts revealed now. The Adivasis of Jharkhand pray Birsa Munda as a god. But in the textbook we said he was a tribal leader
what about
who
Tipu
used
Sultan?
to plunder the towns. So now that we have realized that tribals were hurt because of this, it is required that we change the stand
But
in
what
the
has emerged
textbook
about
as well.
Tipu?
Similar is the opinion about Tipu. I will not say that he was not an Indian. He might have adopted religion which came from outside, but then he is definitely an Indian. But you have to realize one thing, what we see in curriculum now, we are in the process of rewriting the NCERT textbook. See, Tipu Sultan is not very popular with some group of the people in Karnataka, and calling him a tiger who killed many, many Hindus. Now, hurting the sentiment of Hindus in Karnataka, the textbook writers and those who are rereading it realize that we should not give him the prominence that was given. I have seen what we are, the BC Nagesh, the minister, has said, we will not remove the name, but glorifying.
All right, you feel that it's not right to glorify him. I get that point. Aishwarya Mahadev,
Yes.
you've been waiting.
We should
Aishwarya, go
not
ahead.
remove. He was a king who was fighting the British.
Okay, Professor
but
Sharma,
don't
one sec.
forget,
Professor Sharma, I have very little time. One of the tragedies of television. Aishwarya, go ahead.
You know, bigger than the tragedies of television is having to sit through the travesty of some of the facts that have been put forth to me. I respect Ms. Kapila and what she has said, and Vishnu, very honestly. I'm a Kannadiga. I am from Karnataka, and for us, Tipu Sultan was never a religious icon as much as he was an icon for the state, where he fought against the oppressor, he fought against the British. And, you know, if you want to look at it, it is not religious, it is geopolitical. Insofar as saying that this is the man that fought against the British also, if he took French help or not and whatnot, but he also helped things like the Sringeri Mutt while the Marathas themselves had plundered it. And this is the reality of my state, and I do not want to be interrupted by anybody. And God forbid I ever have to read an NCERT textbook, but the reality today is that history objectively cannot be something that hurts people's sentiments whatsoever, because facts are facts. And reality is reality. And today what is happening in my state, Vishnu, very honestly, is that you have the BJP that has no other agenda except an us versus them, except a Savarkar versus Tipu, except a religion versus religion as their only agenda. And that is extremely sad, because when you talk about Amrit Kal, which apparently we're in, and you talk about the idea of Vikas, it shouldn't be that we're sitting and debating facts about historical figures as opposed to talking about what is the reality of the day.
Okay.
And the fact of the matter is, today in Karnataka, it is extremely unfortunate that this seems to be the sort of narrative and the dialogue that the BJP is indulging in, but extremely also practical and also very, like, a lot of gumption from the BJP, because they have nothing else to go on, absolutely nothing, Vishnu, and that is the reality.
Pramila ji, respond to that. You have, the BJP has nothing else to go with other than to rake up issues like Veer Savarkar versus Tipu Sultan.
See, the empty vessel makes big noise. That is what these people are doing it. Can they compare Savarkar with Tipu Sultan? Can they ever compare? Do they know who Tipu Sultan was? What he did with Hindus?
Thousands of because he's not from Karnataka.
Brought from Mangalore, tying them to the legs of the elephant from Mangalore to Srirangapatnam. Do you know about it? What he did for the temples, all Hindu temples were massacred in Coorg. Do they know about it? What the church was done in Mangalore, how the Christians were massacred. Do they know about it? Do you want to welcome such a man? He is a traitor. He can never be considered as a human being. And he is being welcomed and he is being functions are organized. No some comparison.
Okay.
What was Savarkar? Do you know what he did? He was a barrister. You are aware of it? In barristership was removed from in UK. And he was
No,
not
look,
allowed
there
to
are lots
practice.
of question
When he
marks
came
about
to
Savarkar
India,
as well,
he
in as much as they may be. The question is, why can't the BJP idolize Tipu Sultan as you once did, in addition to Veer Savarkar? Right? That's it. Anyway, Aishwarya has a point to make. Aishwarya, go ahead. I'm running short on time. Aishwarya, respond.
Vishnu, it's extremely shameful that we've gotten to this, but it's not about idolizing anybody. But I'm saying I don't know anything about Savarkar whatsoever. But the fact that her state's highest leadership
If you do not
have
know,
sat
you
there
should
and
not indulge in
celebrated.
talking.
1 second, ma'am,
What is
please.
history
I've
book?
respected you for your age and wisdom of seeming it.
Don't use the word
Calm
shameful.
down.
Don't
Calm
never
No,
use
no, Pramila ji,
in a
let her
television-
respond. Pramila
in a
ji, we are not
television
fighting. We
word
are having a
shameful.
civilized discussion. Let her make her point. I know you disagree, but
To use the
Seriously.
word shameful.
No, no,
Agree, but you can be dignified
you
about
can't use
it.
that
And
word.
surprising.
Pramila ji, 1 sec. Pramila ji,
Yes,
please.
you must
Aishwarya,
be
go ahead.
in your words.
Aishwarya, go ahead. Yeah.
Vishnu, the fact is, her own party leadership has sat and celebrated this. They have sat and basically sort of glorified the idea of Tipu Sultan. And if she wants to go into history, I do not want to give a woman of her age an idea or a lesson in history whatsoever. But we also realize that the context of certain situations are geopolitical. They were also pre-independence. They were pre the idea of Karnataka, and they were not religious whatsoever. But I don't want to talk about
All right,
it.
look, let's leave it over there. This is going to come up in the election campaign, and I'd like to invite all of you to come back. Shruti Kapila, I honestly have 1 minute left. If you want to use that 1 minute, you're welcome to do that.
I'll just say that actually this identity talk is central to the agenda of the BJP. So it's not actually about history, but history is a mechanism and being deployed to create a politics of identity and exclusivity, which is why history wars have become political wars. So it's not that I can referee here from Cambridge saying who is actually the factually correct, because factually, yes, Tipu is a major anti-imperial figure. He is a pre-national figure, but that's not going to get through to the BJP spokesperson because the agenda is precisely to mine and mobilize history for contemporary political purposes.
All right, we leave it over there. Professor Sharma, I know you would have wanted to have replied to that. I'm sorry.
Just 1 minute, Vishnu. I would just like to make one comment. The whole process of curriculum design and textbook writing has been dishonest in India and not fair. It was politically motivated, and you will have backlash. Let us write honest textbooks, and nobody will be able to correct in future. You must realize our process of curriculum design and textbook design has been dishonest.
Okay, we leave it over there, and we will revisit this topic. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us. Thank you very much indeed.